Hiya, and welcome back to Northern Lights, the game that teaches us that we have known Liam for less than an hour at this point. Yeah, less than an hour at this point, we have known Liam, and if anything were to happen to him, I'm just gonna be honest, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself. I could not handle anything happening to Liam. He is precious. He is precious, and he must always be protected. This could just be my time playing Echo speaking, but that feels like foreshadowing. It genuinely feels like fucking foreshadowing. Anyways, let's just hop right in. The final truck ride together was a grueling experience. Every green light, every mile further was painful. None of us could even muster the emotional strength to talk as Liam pushed on. Until we parked in the lot of the bus station, a depressing sight cast in the glow of dusk light, and I let out a heavy sigh climbing out of the truck. This is really it, I guess. Tobin huffed, looking at the pool of buses idling away. Watching crowds of people mill about, Liam was shaking something fierce, helping to pull my bags out of the truck. Only for now. Sometimes we gots to go where the current takes us, brah. You sure about this, Cody? Mom might let you stay at our place. I can't impose like that. Besides, can't give up on this dream. I want to see our names in lights someday. We'll get back together for winter break. And an announcement came over the speaker, letting me know my bus was ready for passengers to load on. Liam pulled the three of us into one final spine-pulverizing hug. The gator was crying so hard I could feel tears dripping off his face and between my ears. Tobin was sniffling and holding almost as tight as Liam. You know what? I'm doing it.
Emotional damage.
This hurts. A lot. As tight as Liam. Love you guys. I'll get you my number as soon as I've got a phone. Safe travels, Cody. Adieu for now. I'll convince my ma to send you more recipes, okay, brah? You show 'em all up there what proper food is. Of course I will. After one last hug, I took my bags and climbed onto the bus, finding a window seat looking out at my friends who were waving. They stayed for the last few minutes until the bus started rolling away. Oh! Oh, that hurts! It hasn't even been 5 minutes. It hasn't even been 5 minutes. So off I go, on a journey into the terrifying unknown, far from the city I'd lived in my entire life. Yeah, I regret that. Heading to a college in a town that might as well have been on the other side of the world in my eyes. Even as the miles wore on, that feeling of doubt lingered heavy in my heart, wondering if I should just try and go back, live on the streets if I had to. At least then I'd still be with my friends. Though, as miserable as I felt, I couldn't deny there was a tiny spark of excitement.
BEE goodbye good friends goodbye, it's sad it's time to go.
Each bus transfer on the journey was another reminder that I was on my own, making my own decisions, and no longer afraid of my pa. The week-long trip had been a blur, through the swamps of Louisiana, past the boundless plains of Texas and New Mexico, wound through the majestic mountains of Colorado, and long stretches of complete isolation in Wyoming. Until at last I was on my final bus, slipping into Montana. Fragrant pine trees were plentiful, and quivering leaves on aspen trees were beginning to show small sides of vibrant color. It was the first time in the journey that I felt truly happy. The beauty of the area was so vastly different from my home, filled me with flames of inspiration for new films. The drive into Aspen Hollow only furthered these fresh ideas. I took in every detail of a small town that had grown out of the Wild West days. Every home was distinct and worn down, surrounded on all sides by mountains. I'm going to adjust my microphone real quick. Alrighty, microphone adjusted. As the bus rolled through the town and towards the heart of it, the newer buildings and homes were changing out for older edifications. Ancient structures from the days of gold rush pioneers, moonshiners, and Depression-era relics. Little more than their interiors were modified for new shops, new owners. Some still had faint lettering left in their original places. It wasn't until we passed through the heart of Aspen Hollow that a realization struck me. Felt like there was a distinct sadness behind the town. Just about everything there looked like they'd been passed from generation to generation. Hiya. Buildings that were little more than a ball and chain, keeping the hopeful from doing something more with their lives. When the bus finally came to a stop, I was the only one to get off, lugging my 2 duffel bags and backpack off and out into the open air, immediately bathed in the fragrant scent of towering pine trees. Fumbling around in my pocket, I pulled out a small list of directions, telling me how to get from the bus stop to the motel I'd be staying. Thankfully, it wasn't too long of a walk, though my arms were still screaming at me by the time I got to the roadside motel. Gently pushing my way into the little office, giving a tap on the bell. "Just a moment, Bree White with you." A rather kind badger soon stepped out from the back and squared away my reservation. "You need anything? Don't hesitate to ask." "Thank you. Just happy to have a place to stay." Before I knew it, I was alone in complete privacy for the first time in a week. Just letting my bags drop onto the floor, I collapsed onto the bed, which creaked loudly, letting myself sink into its softness. After melting into the bed for what seemed like a solid couple of hours, I found the strength to catch a shower, glad to wash the stink of a long journey from my body. As the water cascaded over me, I did my best not to think about home. If I let myself mope, I knew that would be the end of any motivation I had. If I wanted to stay strong, I would have to focus on what lay ahead. School starts next week, and I needed to find somewhere to stay before then. What little I'd saved up would only pay for a couple nights at this motel. By the next morning, I was sitting in the motel office, reading over the morning paper, eyes wandering through the classifieds, looking for any job openings that I might be able to get started on immediately. "They've got a rental store here. Man, that'd be perfect!" The badger behind the desk told me how to get to the store in the town's heart, and after freshening up, off I went. Following the directions to the letter, keeping my head straight, doing everything I could think of to start my new life off in a good way. The town square was one of the most unique places I'd ever been. Each building looked as though it would fit right in with a good spaghetti western. If not for the modern signage and electricity. Oh shit, we're going to Blockbuster? Video Den stood proudly on one corner, and it was the most colorful. Tall windows filled with posters, community flyers, and a help wanted sign. A banner hung under the second floor windows reading "Welcome Back, Pioneers." It's not Blockbuster, it's Video Den. Okay, let's see what they got. They got... What is that? Horror, science fiction, adventure. Wasting no time, I slipped into the store and felt at home almost immediately. The scent of popcorn in the air, the sound of a movie playing nearby, an enormous wolf was standing behind the counter going through a box of overnight returns. Oh? Good morning. Uh, Hi.
I smell a pissed?
The wolf's voice was deep, but had a pleasing calmness to it. He smiled for a moment, eyeing me before going back to the tapes. Good morning. I continued to look around, almost forgetting the reason I even came to the store in the first place, until the wolf spoke up once again. Say, I don't think I've seen you before. New in town? Yes, sir. Just got in yesterday, actually. Ah, a freshman then. Well, welcome to our little town. Anything in particular you're looking for? Yeah, actually. I saw your help wanted ad in the paper. Think it'd be a good idea for me to start off on the right paw here. The wolf slid a tape into a rewinder and moved closer to me. The lupine was distinctly taller, almost a foot above. It made me empathize with Tobin's height challenges. He seemed to eye me up and down, sizing me up. Name's Vincent, and what would be yours? And what would yours be, pup? Cody, sir. Couple of questions to get out of the way first. Do you know a lot about movies? Yeah, a good bit. Back in Nolans, I was part of a film club. Made a lot of my own films with friends. Always happy to see a fellow film enthusiast around. Any prior experience working a register or retail for that matter? No, sir. Well, I worked a cash box at school sporting events, selling snacks and such, but I'm real quick with math. Vincent was hard to read. I couldn't really tell one way or the other if he was pleased with my answers so far. All I knew was that he was keeping his eyes fixed on me. Well, you say you make movies. Got any other hobbies? I enjoy drawing, do quite a bit of it to plan my scenes, and just for fun. Helps when I take the lay of the land, too, for map making. I smiled, hoping my answers were good ones, standing a little too stiffly upright as the wolf continued to size me up. It felt like an uncomfortably long silence, as if the owner was looking at something about me that I couldn't see. An artist, you say? Tell you what, I never mind training a young pup, especially one that is already a film enthusiast. But I'll need a little more out of you if you want the job. I'm running a special this week on horror films, half off on the rental fee. If you draw me something to promote it in a fun way, consider yourself hired. I'd be delighted to, sir. The wolf motioned with a paw, and I followed close behind, watching as he pulled a box of pastel chalks from under the main counter, then gestured to the door. There's a chalkboard above the night drop box. Show me what you've got. With an enthusiastic nod, I grabbed the box and wandered outside. Didn't take me long to come up with what I thought was a good idea. After a mere 15 minutes, I'd drawn it all out.
If he was Jack the Ripper, would you trust this motherfucker to keep your soul?
An impressive and rather intimidating drawing of Freddy Krueger, the lion, slashing the rental fee in half, as well as a twist on the sinister rhyme. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better rent some more. Just as Vincent stepped outside to check on my progress, a fox wandered over to check out the sign. Horror movies are discounted! Awesome! Do you still have that one in? Yes, sir. We have several. First shelf straight ahead, on your left. The wolf was smiling at me, and for the first time I didn't feel like he was sizing me up, which was a rather nice feeling. Not bad, pup. Not bad at all. You got time to start now, or do you need to get settled in a dorm first? The question caused a lump in my throat. I was hesitant to bring it up. Well, yeah, I'd be delighted to start now. Don't actually have a dorm room, though. Could barely afford the tuition and books. No dorm. Where are you staying? There it was again. The gaze that felt like he was looking at more than just my figure. Seeing something I couldn't, I wondered if he was just great at spotting a liar. Old Pine Motel. There was an awkward amount of silence as the wolf seemed to mull something over in his head. He briefly glanced past me at the artwork, then back down to me, flashing a quick smile. I can trust you, right? You'll be a good pup, treat our customers with kindness, and keep lending your art talents? Yes, sir! I promise I won't let you down. His question had me feeling hopeful. I'd have a job at the very least, already an improvement in my eyes as I worked to distance myself further from my pa, and more into a life of my own. For a moment, I felt connected to Vincent, like we were on the same wavelength. I could almost sense that his trust in my words was growing by the second. Tell you what, normally I wouldn't even offer this, but I see promise in you. Could be a really great asset to my little shop. So, I've got a special, one-time offer for you. If you're willing to work for half wages, you can have the little apartment above the store. It's not much, but it'd sure beat on the streets when winter comes. Ah! Deal? My eyes went wide with shock as I nearly jumped out of my fur with excitement, never having considered this morning could have gone as well as it had. Hiya. Pa always told me I'd find nothing but failure in my life if I didn't stick to his plan. Yet here I am, proving him wrong. Maybe there's hope for me yet. The wolf was extending me a lifeline, a solid chance to keep making something of myself. I'd be a fool to say no. Vincent was smiling at me. Surely he could tell how enthused I was by the offer. Are you serious? Deal! Well, welcome aboard. Let's get started with your training. You can get moved in tomorrow. Just need to tidy up in there first. Been using it as storage for some stuff. Vincent spent the better part of the morning training me, going over every single detail of the job and tasks that needed doing. Oh no! It was a little overwhelming at first, but I refused to let him down. He is DILF-coded. Like, damn. Should I just go ahead and send myself?
Again, if he is Jack the Ripper, would you trust this motherfucker to keep your soul and not sell it?
Amethyst, I have a counter question for you that will answer that question. Does a bear shit in the woods? You have your answer. It was a little overwhelming at first, but I refused to let him down. As an employee, you're entitled to one free rental a week. I'll also be giving you new releases to watch the day before we put them out, so you can be better informed for our customers. Once you've got your semester schedule, let me know what it is. I'll see about working your hours into it in a fair manner, and try to keep your free days as your days off. My first shift was going quite well after that, loving the compliments I was getting about my artwork and settling into my role. By mid-afternoon, I seemed a natural for the job, looking like I'd already been doing it for years. Yes, we are slaying. As I went about shelving some movies, I was unaware someone outside had stopped dead in their tracks and heard inside. Cody? Is it really you? A familiar, though more mature voice filled my ears. The sound of it made my heart skip a beat, and I turned to face the speaker. At the sight of him, my mind wandered backwards to the best summer vacation of my life. It's been 8 years and gone since that fateful July. It's been 8 years come and gone since that fateful July. The first 2 days of summer camp had been the worst. I felt so nervous all the time, far from home, afraid to try and make new friends. But by the third day, I was approached by Aldrich, a confident and friendly German shepherd who was able to make me feel at ease almost instantly. We became fast friends, and day by day, I would hang out with Aldrich even more than the day before. We'd fall behind on hikes just so we could talk more, spurred each other on in competitive activities like archery, climbing, and tag football. After the first week, I was like an entirely different person, actually filled with the confidence to be my true self. Even Aldrich had been opening up right before my eyes, talking more about himself, filled with so much joy I could practically feel it radiating off of him. It was during our second week that we decided to break the #1 rule of camp. Don't leave the grounds. Hey Cody, wake up! Groggily, I rolled over in my bunk, looking at the silhouette of the shepherd in the doorway. Come on, sleepyhead! Don't tell me you forgot! I didn't! I was just faking. Aldrich flashed a toothy smile, easily spotting my lie, but didn't seem to deter him one bit, motioning with a paw. Took a while for the counselor cabins to go dark, but it's all clear now. Come on! Where are we going, though? I told you, go into the lake for a private swim. Hurriedly, I slipped into my swim trunks and wandered out of the cabin, yawning into the night as I stretched my arms towards the sky, whiskers twitching as I continued to shake off the sleep. Yeah, don't worry, new people, this is common. Let me just make sure safe for work mode is on. It is. Okay. Because I don't trust it. Quietly, Aldrich led me further and further from camp up to the wooden fence that served as the camp border. Come on! I'll give you a boost! The shepherd pressed his back against the fence and cupped his paws together in front of him. I didn't even hesitate, stepping up, allowing Aldrich to push me up, grasping the top of the fence and clambering over. Okay, no nudity? Okay, cool. Get clear! Gonna toss my bag over! A few seconds later, the shepherd's bag landed near me with a heavy thud, no doubt filled with some snacks and towels. The sound of his running filled me with excitement. With a grunt, Aldrich grasped the top fence and pulled himself over. We wandered into the forest, accompanied by the hooting of an owl, the crickets singing, and the sounds of a lake lapping the shoreline growing louder with each passing minute. You're never going to believe what I found! I found it last summer from another camper. Just been waiting for the perfect moment to go. Feels kind of exciting being outside the camp. I don't reckon I'd be happy here if it wasn't for you. Camp just seems kind of boring. Man, you have no idea. 3 years now my parents have sent me here. First year was fun. But then the camp got stricter about stuff, made it safer, made it boring if you ask me. Hell, we used to have arrows with real tips on them. Now we got those stupid blunt ones that can hardly punch into the hay. First time here, we got to climb real rocks. Now it's just a dumb wall. That sounds way more fun. My pa would have a fit if he found out about that. After a good 15-minute walk, we made it at last. Aldrich pushed through a bush first, his smile greeting me as I came through. My eyes went wide with excitement and delight at where he brought me. It was a small private sandy shore on the lake's edge, looking like it had been untouched for ages. A lone cabin sat on stilts over the water, looking worse for wear. The remnants of a bonfire circle still lingered like a tombstone in the memory of the fun that used to be. Whoa! What is this place? Used to be part of the camp before I started coming here. Back when campers got to actually enjoy more of the lake. Boating without tethers, fishing, lots of stuff. Cody's an otter. Plus there's that. The shepherd pointed off the shoreline at a floating platform 50 feet away, which had an elevated diving board allowing for all sorts of fun. But why did they stop coming here? Dunno. Probably part of them trying to be safer, but now it's all ours. We can come here every night if we want, our secret spot. Race to the platform? Aldrich cocked a toothy grin at the challenge, setting the bag down by the bonfire ring, getting into a starting stance. Count it off on 3. 1, 2. With a lunge, Aldrich started off before I finished the counter. Hey! Hurriedly, I charged after Aldrich, lagging behind him as we ran along the dock. The shepherd was the first to jump in, and I was hot on his heels, diving in soon after. Staying below the surface, deep enough that Aldrich probably couldn't hear me charging past in the water. I made for the floating platform, popping up with a laugh only a few seconds later, waving at the shepherd barely halfway to me. Hurry up, slowpoke! Hell, I wish I was as fast as you. Go for a dive, I can see you good from here. Alright. I didn't even hesitate to climb the old rickety ladder on the platform up to the diving board, not even wasting a second to make sure it was safe. After on, I leapt off the ground of the board, swan diving into the lake with finesse. Surfacing with a gasp and a giggle, I looked around for the shepherd. What did you think? Aldrich? The shepherd burst forth from under the water with a loud, playful bark, lunging on top of me, forcing me back underwater. I didn't even have a chance to shriek as I found myself under the surface again. hurriedly going back up to be met with Aldrich's laughter. I wasn't even mad, soon laughing along with him. Meanie! Nah, it's funny. Should have seen your face. With a huff, I batted the water hard with an arm, splashing water over Aldrich, giggling with delight before turning to float on my back. Go on then, it's your turn. Sure, let me show you how a pro does it. Aldrich swam over to the platform and climbed out of the water. Heading up to the diving board, running along the bouncy surface, cannonballing off the end. He landed with such an impact it splashed up a mighty torrent of water, which showered me completely. It felt like an eternity of joy as we played in the water, taking turns to dive again and again, challenging each other to breath-holding contests. I always won, of course, but it didn't make it any less fun. Eventually, we both climbed onto the platform, laying down in the wet woods, staring at the bright, starry night sky, catching our breath as the warm summer air washed over us. What do you think? Best part of camp? Yeah, let's come here every night. Don't gotta just swim, we can do other stuff. Sounds good to me. A shooting star streaked across the night sky, making us both gasp at the sight of it. Closing my eyes, I made a wish, enjoying the sound of Aldrich sighing, relaxing into complete happiness. What did you wish for? Can't say. Won't come true if I did. Well, if I made a wish, it'd be for us to be friends forever. Don't need to wish that, though. Already true. Really? Of course. Even when we gotta go home, we can write each other. Look forward to camp again. There was a hint of sadness in my eyes as I glanced over at the shepherd, reminded of something I hadn't brought up before. I don't think I can come again. My pa won my stay in a charity raffle. Well, then we'll just have to write each other more. Guess when we're old enough we can meet up again. Start hanging out. Promise? Promise. We both went quiet for a while after that, just enjoying the night sky, basking in the afterglow of freedom from all the rules of camp. Every night afterwards we came back to our secret spot. We'd swim more. Aldrich taught me how to play a few card games. Each night ended with a new tradition, sharing a ghost story. Aldrich always seemed to favor mine, told me it was cool hearing about all the swamp monster stories I had to share. On our final night of camp, we were laying on our private beach for the last time. Aldrich sighed softly and glanced over at me with a curious look on his face. Hey Cody, how come you're so good with your stories? Reckon it's 'cause I live them. What do you mean? My two friends back home, we started sneaking into a movie theater, watching all the scary stuff we ain't supposed to. We started making our own movies. It's so much fun! Coming up with all this spooky stuff. Got this book on effects. I don't understand a lot of it yet, but it's fun doing what I can figure out. Can make fake blood, slime, and lots of other stuff now. I wish I could see them. I wish you could be in one. Really? What would I do? Looking at Aldrich, I began to size him up, his shape, character, overall appearance, quickly making up my mind on what role I'd write for Aldrich. The hero. Aw, that's no fun. I want to be the monster. I can make you a monster then. Thought of having him in one of my movies was weirdly exciting. Everything about Aldrich was exciting to me. He was so different from life back home. My friends meant the world to me, but the shepherd was also different. Everything from the way he spoke, his life, where he was from, it was all fascinating. He was the first person in my life, not even my friends, that I felt comfortable being entirely honest with. That next morning as we were being loaded onto different buses was the first time I ever felt sad about leaving camp. Going about checking my bag to make sure I'd packed everything back in. Cody! Aldrich shouted out, running across the cabin yard to greet me. I wanted to give you something, almost forgot. He fished around in his pocket, pulling out a small cracked open geode. It glistened with the vibrant
It's time to drink water.
It glistened
It's time to drink water.
with a vibrant array of
It's
black,
time to drink
deep
water.
blue, and white crystals.
It's time to drink water.
My eyes going wide at the sight of it. But don't you want it? Nah, I know you got a dud, so you can have mine. Something to remember me by. He handed over the geode and I twisted it gently, letting the crystals shimmer in the light. It's so cool, though. Not as cool as you. Aldrich smiled brightly, playfully punching me in the arm. Hardly noticed as I continued to admire the geode. Don't forget to write. I want to hear more about your movies. One of the counselors called out for the lingering campers to hurry up and get on the buses. This hurts! This hurts! Wait, one of the counselors called out for the lingering campers to hurry up and get on the buses. I will, soon as I get home. Sitting on my bus, I felt that pang of sadness again, staring out the window, watching Aldrich's bus rolling away, sending him on his journey back home. I'd never forgotten that summer together. For a couple years, we sent letters back and forth, talking about this and that, silly little things. At least until 8th grade, when Aldrich's letters stopped coming. I always wondered if he was mad at me or forgot about me. I stopped sending letters only a month after he stopped, doing my best not to dwell on the friendship that had drifted apart. Yet I never gave up all hope. Oh! I only have one thing to say. Awoga. In an instant, I remembered why this town sounded so familiar. How could it not? The same town I'd mailed so many letters to not so long ago. Here he was, standing in front of me, bigger, strikingly handsome, with an all-too-familiar smile on his face that filled my heart with warmth. The look in my eyes must have been enough. Aldrich pulled me into a hug, the height difference between us planting my muzzle squarely into his exposed chest fluff. I couldn't get another word out. Trapped in a hug that even Liam couldn't match, face pressed into the soft, thick fur of the shepherd's muscular chest. Unable to breathe in anything except for Aldrich's unique earthen musk, it had a heat and spice of it to it that reminded me of a crackling campfire, comforting, safe. Awoga wooga, titty booby peck chest. Finding myself frozen in the moment, I could have happily stayed there forever, securely held by the shepherd. The pleasant summer camp memory still lingered, and the hug washed away all the homesickness in my heart. Oh man, I can't believe it's really you! The words slipped right past my ears, still lost to an embrace I didn't want to end. Seeing him now took a weight off my shoulders I'd been carrying all summer. After what felt like too long a time, Aldrich let me free from his grip, taking in the full view of me as I took in his hold on a goddamn minute. The tail is wagging. It's wagging. Oh my god. I was quite glad in that moment my shorts were on the looser side, lest they reveal the swelling the hug had caused. There was no doubt I had an immediate attraction to Aldrich. Oh my god, put your penis away. Cody, put your penis away. Dude, we have got so much catching up to do. Aldrich cocked a toothy smile, taking the moment of closeness to further take in how well puberty had treated me since we last met. I just can't believe it. Can't believe what? I thought there was a reason I knew to name this town. It's because of you. You're really here. Feeling flustered, it was hard to make eye contact. The hug and seeing him again made my ability for restraint slip away. The dog was still beaming, no doubt happy to know I still remembered him so fondly. Course I am. What about you, though? If you're working here, does that mean you're here to stay? Yeah, just got in from Nollins yesterday. Going to college here. There was a gentle, albeit abrupt cough, Vincent drawing our attention from the end of the aisle. The cough made Aldrich lower his ears in brief shame. Heck, sorry, Vincent. Want to catch dinner with me after your shift? My treat. I reckon I'd love that. I get off at 6. Meet me at Lodge Pull Grill then. See you again real soon, Cody. The shepherd gave me a far shorter but just as tight hug before wandering off, his bushy tail wagging a mile a minute. Vincent came over with a kind smile, giving me another small basket of movies to reshelf, looking over through the window at Aldrich heading out of sight. I take it you two know each other? Yeah. We met at summer camp quite a few years back now. Well, Aldrich is good people. You certainly have good taste in friends. I'm really impressed with how quick you're taking to the job, Cody. Almost like you were meant for it. I want you to come over early tomorrow, round 8. Should be enough time to get your things dropped and we can continue your training. You got it, boss. Thank you again. It means so much to me the way you're helping out. Please, call me Vinny, and think nothing of it. Enjoy your dinner with Aldrich. With that, I left my first shift almost in a run, beyond excited to meet up with Aldrich again. Only to realize we don't know where the bit is. Oh shit, we do know. When I woke up that morning, I never could have imagined how well the day would go. For the first time, I felt like I might actually enjoy living here. Lodgepole Grill was an unassuming little drive-in restaurant. Its neon embellishments were minimal. It wouldn't be considered eye-catching if not for the crowd. Oh my god, is that rock and roll? Don't mind me, I'm just gonna jam out to this for a tiny bit. Alrighty, back to the story. But the grill never needed to be eye-catching to stay alive. Its great food, friendly service, and killer milkshakes were more than enough to make it the local hotspot. It was just past 6, and the whole place was a real hotbed of activity. Families, teens, and even a few apparent tourists were gathered around enjoying the offerings in good company. It all gave me a feeling of being back home, a strong sense of community. One where everyone could come together, wash away the day with good food and good company. I watched with delight at the sight of car hops on roller skates working their way through the cars and crowds of customers. But it was the intoxicating smell of good food and the promise of dinner with Aldrich that pulled me in from the street. Aldrich called me over from his truck. I swear, he looks even more handsome than he had in the store. Like he'd taken the time to go the extra mile with his grooming before our friendly dinner. Hey, how'd your first shift go? Really good. Real swell even. Come on, let's get something to eat and grab a seat. We've got so much to chat about. Aldrich was very polite about paying for my food, but I was still modest, ordering a basket of fish and chips, while he got himself a rather juicy-looking chicken burger and a strawberry malt. We wandered over to his truck, taking a seat in the bed. Made us sit close, bumping against each other, but I wasn't exactly going to complain, taking a bite of the surprisingly moist, well-cooked fish before wiping my maw with a napkin. So, what degree you going for? General arts. Ain't really a film degree, but reckon it'll do. At least get most of the basics done if I want to transfer. What about you, though? Been a while. I'll be starting this year as well. Going to try for the football team. Should do well as quarterback for the high school. Won state 2 years in a row. Aldrich smiled when he admitted his athletic prowess, tail wagging proudly. I'd never really considered myself into jocks before, but knowing who Aldrich was before he became one made him that much more appealing. Whoa, you took state? No wonder you look so good. His tail got the zoomies. Hiya. Immediately I bit my tongue, darting my eyes away from the conversation, staring off into the distance, hoping that the shepherd wouldn't take it as anything more than a friendly compliment. Well, the football helps. I like to take runs in the morning also. You could join me sometime. It could show you around. Like the sound of that. Could get you in trouble, though. Hang on, what? Oh, his ears! His fucking ears! The shepherd's ears perked straight up, and he cocked his head at the curious mention of getting into trouble with me. Oh, why's that? Well, yeah, I tend to enjoy going places I'm not supposed to be. This is where the good stuff is, after all. The giant smile on Aldrich's face told me he was ecstatic to learn this. No doubt to see our rule-breaking adventures that summer had stuck around. Now I think I can help you with that. You can thank Misty later. She's one of my friends here. Got this really incredible band she sings for, just like you. She's also wanting to go behind locked doors past the tallest fences. Says it helps her find inspiration for her songs. knows every inch of this town like the back of her paw. We should plan a little outing sometime. That sounds awesome. So, what else you been getting up to? Well, still working on my folks' grocery store. You've probably seen it, the giant ski lodge looking building. But I've been getting more involved with the national park. I want to be a ranger there. School's never been my favorite. You don't want to go pro? Don't get me wrong, I love the game, making crowds happy. I just feel like if I go pro, I won't love it anymore. Can't really say why for sure. Just something in my gut is telling me I'll hate the next level of it. I can understand that, truly. Felt that way about my films sometimes, not even sure enough with college that I'll ever be good enough for Hollywood. You know how it is. Still doing your films? Of course. Not sure I could stop if I wanted to. Will you let me watch some? The question caused me to tense up for the first time around him, hesitant about what he might think of them, but as a wagging tail continued to thump about, I relaxed once more. Yeah, sure. So, did you have a girlfriend back in New Orleans? I think the girls would be all over you. Just look how handsome you are. Should we tell him? Who's gonna 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 tell him? Who wants to tell him? Because I don't want to tell him. The compliment left me feeling very hot under the collar, eyes fixated on my cup of water. Anything to avoid potential eye contact again, trying as best as I could to keep my feelings in check. No, I mean, the girls would flirt with me a lot, just had my mind on other things, I guess. What about ya? Nah, still single. Besides, girls ain't my thing. The mention of being gay caught me so off guard that I choked on my water, coughing into a napkin, eyes darting around looking for pitchforks and torches. There were none to be found. No one was even looking. That's not a problem, is it? No! Just a little bit of a culture shock is all. People in Louisiana don't exactly go around talking about being gay out in open like this. Well, you don't have to worry about that shit here. Everyone is real chill about that kind of stuff in this town. You don't have to fret about hiding stuff from this town. Or me. My stomach was in knots, still trying to process everything. That the incredibly attractive shepherd was gay, single, and so casual about it. Even after being reassured, I was still looking around, certain that someone was going to come over and give Aldrich a very stern talking to. With a hard swallow, I pushed down the nerves and glanced back over at Aldrich. Really? Totally. And if anyone gives you grief, just let me know. I've got your back. Well, I wanted to say it, to speak the truth in that moment. Years of repression were screaming at me to keep quiet, to not be trusting. But I finally had a chance to speak the truth. Start off on the right paw, that was how I started my morning. And to Aldrich of all people, I had to confess it. I'm, frick, why is it so hard to say? Aldrich wrapped an arm around my back, holding me gently against him. It was a very friendly embrace more than anything else, trying to comfort me in the moment of anxiety I was struggling with. I felt my breath quicken, more aware of how many people were around us. The pressure of the social space was almost unbearable, picturing that an outsider like me probably still wouldn't be accepted, even if Aldrich was. I'm glad we're friends again. My whiskers drooped as I spoke the words, darting away from confessing the truth to Aldrich, trying to swallow back my disappointment in myself. The shepherd chuckled gently, patting my back. Feelings mutual, Cody. We're gonna have all sorts of fun. Just you wait. That a promise? Absolutely. Though I'll be expecting you to keep me on my toes as well. Aldrich hadn't moved his arms. He still had it wrapped around my back, only now he seemed to be holding me even closer against him. I wonder if he knew what I wanted to say before. Maybe it was obvious even. So, you find out what dorm is yours yet? No, well, won't have a dorm. Couldn't really afford it. Where are you staying then? Old Pine Motel, but Vincent is letting me live in the apartment above the den for half wages. Said I could move into it in the morning. You serious? Oh man, that's an awesome place to live. You'll be right in the heart of it. All the festivals and little events that we have. Hell, having a warm escape during the ice festival will be awesome. Really? Reckon it does sound pretty swell. Be almost like we's back at summer camp, our secret hangout spot. You want some help getting your stuff over to the apartment in the morning? That'd be great. My arms are still tired from lugging all my bags around. You sure it's no bother? No trouble at all, Cody. I hate to cut stuff short, but I need to get to my shift. I'll swing by the motel around 7. Height? Of course. I'll be waiting. We climbed out of the truck bed, and Aldrich pulled me into one final hug. This one seemed tighter than the first. I could hear a strong heartbeat and felt like I could never grow tired of his embrace. Before he pulled away with a smile. See you tomorrow. The shepherd climbed into his truck and headed off, leaving me to bask in the afterglow of the meetup. I knew it was time to head back to the motel. If anything, I wanted to get to bed early, so next morning would come as fast as it could. That hug from Aldrich lingered with me. It had felt better than the first, but the pleasant hug wasn't the only thing sticking around. Regret washed over me as I thought about how I should have confessed the truth. Frick, why didn't I just say it? Heck is wrong with me? It's just 2 dang words, not the end of the world. Tomorrow I'll tell him. At least someone should know. For the first time in days, I was actually looking forward to tomorrow, though the impending confession scared me. I was excited for a second chance and to spend more time with Aldrich. A spine-tingling chill ran along the nape of my neck, and I came to a stop on the side of the road. In a rather shocking realization, I wasn't sure where I was. I thought I was falling the right way back to the motel. Looking in every direction, I couldn't see any sign of town. No streetlights, no faint murmur of traffic. It was unsettlingly quiet, and the air seemed to be growing colder by the second. Did I take a wrong turn? I must have. Asking myself caused me to realize something far worse. I couldn't remember what direction I'd been coming from. I faced one way, yet in my mind I kept thinking I'd turned around in one moment, or hadn't the next. There was a snapping sound in the direction in the dark tree line around me, and I whipped my head to gaze in the direction of the noise. But I couldn't see anything. It was becoming difficult to even make out the trees around me. Hello? Someone out there? My breath was growing visible in the air. Wafting upwards into the night, the chill didn't seem to be slowing down. Before I knew it, the cold was becoming painful. I looked around in circles, trying desperately to spot anything, to see light again, some sign of life. But there was nothing. Other than a growing darkness seeming to be closing in. Another snap in the woods caused me to stand completely still. Stand completely stiff. If someone's out there, say something. How's it getting dark so fast? Panic was setting in. The chill felt like it was starting to grow inside of me, freezing my bones all the way through to the marrow. Until something broke through the darkness. A light was dancing across my face, blinding me each time it grazed my eyes. Squinting, I looked around, trying to find the source shimmering on the ground. I didn't care that there was nothing around to make whatever it was shimmer. It was light in the darkness, and I wanted it. Walking the few steps over, I bent over, flicking away a few pieces of gravel around the light piercing through. A lone penny lay there. It still flickered, though dimmer than before. A penny? Reaching down, I grasped from the rock, only to be met with a searing pain in my paw, dropping it at once. Frick! My frozen fingers had gone from arctic cold to volcano hot in an instant. My eyes locked onto the coin, which continued to shimmer. I couldn't help myself. It was light where there was none. I had to try again. I snatched up the coin, whimpering from the agonizing pain that radiated through my entire paw and seemed to run up my arm. But the pain seemed to be lessening with each passing second. I almost didn't want to look at it, to open my paw and see what would surely be singed fur and scorched pad, but I just had to know. Unclenching my paw, letting my fingers open, the coin was still agonizingly hot, yet there was no damage around it. The coin just sat there, shimmering, sending burning pain through me. What is this? The coin was clearly quite old. I kept flipping it over, trying to figure out how it was shimmering with no moonlight to reflect. With every flip, I grew more aware of a strange sound, different from whatever lurked in the trees. It was a bare whisper of a noise, but it was there. There was another noise in the tree line, closer than ever before, but I couldn't take my eyes off the coin. As my eyes fixated on the date, I felt a presence around me, something solid looming nearby, watching me, lurking. I snapped my gaze in the direction of the presence. Hi! Hi! How are you? Are you going to stab me until I'm dead? If you are going to, Please don't. That would not be very Gucci of you. That would not be very cash money of you, so please don't stab me until I am dead. Golden eyes above me met my gaze in the darkness, seemingly connected to no creature, just orbs floating there. I was sure they were staring right at me. The sight sent me reeling, stumbling backwards, tripping over my own feet and crashing to the ground. I awoke in a terrible sweat on the floor of my motel room, desperately trying to catch my breath, frantically looking around trying to figure out what was going on. Was it a dream? Wait, when did I get back to the motel? My paw ached and I had to roll over to free it from under me, staring at the ceiling, waiting for my brain to catch up. As the minutes passed, the ache in my paw wasn't fading. Wondering if I'd sprained it, I made for the bathroom sink and flipped on the fluorescent lamp. Oh, hiya. It looked okay, no fingers out of place, my wrist didn't hurt to move. Everything was fine until I turned my paw over to inspect my pads. The largest pad looked burned, completely charred, but there was a distinct number visible on the damage. Squinting, I could just barely make out the numbers 1865. Hurriedly, I cut on the faucet and rubbed the pad under the cold, running water. As I brushed over the surface, I realized that the damage, along with the number, was gone. Had it even been there in the first place? Grabbing my journal from the nearby dresser, I flipped it open to an empty page. The lingering haze of sleep, I scribbled down what little I could remember of the fleeting dream, drawing out a faint impression of the coin I'd picked up, and the year, soon flipping off the light to go back to sleep. As I lay in bed once more, I stared at my paw in the faint moonlight, wondering if I was still dreaming, but soon drifting off to an uneasy rest. I don't know how much is left of this game. Like, is there enough for another stream of it, or should we do it all tonight? Because I don't know how much is left of this game. Alright. Come morning, I was up just before 7, freshening myself up before Aldrich's arrival, briefly disappearing into the motel office, grabbing a pair of oranges from a bowl on the counter. So we'll just finish it all tonight. Catching sight of Aldrich's truck as I wandered back towards my room made my heart skip a beat. I motioned to where my room was, and he grabbed the closest spot. Oh. Oh. We're gonna leave off here tonight. Awoga. I... Uh, mm, ah. Stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.